Well, here we are. Hello, everybody. First, we want to thank you guys for joining us today. We'll start right in. I'm Shelby Beadle. I do marketing for PCA Technology Solutions, and I have got three really great experts here today. We're going to talk a bit about voice and data communications, and we're going to let the industry experts here do most of the talking. We've got Blair Hatcher with us with Intelisys. We've got Matthew Stevens with TierPoint and Tony Fry with PCA Technology Solutions. So we're going to start. I'm just going to throw it to the guys. Matthew, do you want to tell us a little bit about what TierPoint does and then your role there?
Sure, absolutely. So TierPoint is a premier data center provider. We have 40 locations across the country from coast to coast, including, just to name a few, Little Rock, Arkansas, Franklin, Tennessee, St. Louis. So got a great footprint here in the central region. We also have cloud computing solutions based on both private and multi-tenant cloud. We do disaster recovery as a service, backup as a service, security as a service, and we have lots of different professional services that we can offer to help meet you where you are on your IT journey. I've been with TierPoint since March of 2013. My title is Senior Solutions Engineer, so I help customers in Arkansas, Tennessee, and Alabama determine their path to co-location, cloud, and that sort of thing. I have a background in corporate IT. I started there for about 10 years, then went into IT managed services outsourcing, and finally landed at TierPoint about 8 years ago.
That is great. Thank you for that. Blair, with Intelisys, you want to let us know a little bit about what you guys do and your role there as well?
Yeah, thanks for having us on here, Shelby. So Blair Hatcher, I've been in Intelisys for now a year, but before that, I know the PCA guys. I was at AT&T for almost 15 years. I was a channel manager. I also carried a sales bag for many of those years. At Intelisys, though, we are basically a independent distributor for about 195 plus suppliers that PCA has access to sell, and we help push and recommend different products and services for their customers to buy. So we're excited to be on the call and look forward to getting it going here this afternoon.
Absolutely. And Tony, why don't you chime in and let us know? I know you've been with PCA for a minute or two, so you want to go ahead and give an introduction?
Yes, Tony Fry, Director of Innovative Solutions. I've been with PCA here for a few days. Started in 1998, a few years underneath my belt. With the Director of Innovative Solutions, we look for different types of solutions and technologies to help better our clients and facilitate their technology needs.
Thank you for that. And so we are just going to go ahead and dive right in, guys. We've met the presenters, and here we go. So let's just jump right in. First thing, everybody wants their problems fixed. Matthew, can you let everybody know what problems do you guys fix, and how can you make your clients' life easier with solutions that TierPoint has to offer?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and thanks also for having us on today. We run into lots of different challenges that customers are facing. One of the biggest ones is around just the environment where their compute lies today. COVID's kind of amplified that. We've seen a lot of people that are moving offices, going into smaller offices, or maybe closing down their office and going to a full remote workforce. So we have a plethora of options to help. Number one, if you just need a place to land your equipment that you have, if you have one server or if you have 1,000 servers, we have co-location facilities across the country, again, including in Little Rock, where you can come and co-locate. So that's one of the big challenges we face. And then other customers are looking to go to software as a service. They don't want to continue to buy server infrastructure. They don't want to continue to buy, from 3 or 4 or 5 different vendors. in many cases, we can help a lot with vendor consolidation by being one back to pat. Some people say one throat to joke as it comes to IT. And of course, that's where our partnership with you guys comes in as well to help round that out. So, that challenge is, again, I'm spending this, capital money every, call it 3 to 5 years, and it's just a never ending battle. And then somebody has to manage it. And so TierPoint can help with all of those challenges. I think another big challenge that that we help clients with is how do I get my data backed up off of out of my office, maybe even out of state, have the ability to spin it up somewhere else. So we can help with that as well with our backup as a service offerings and our disaster recovery as a service solution. So those are just a few of the challenges that we help customers deal with, all different kinds of industries, verticals, and really all different size companies as well.
So, Tony, do you want to speak a bit about what problems with your department with VoIP that PCA could fix for a company?
Well, being able to work anywhere is definitely, at any time, is definitely what with VoIP that we can help out with. Being able to take a client from not having to be at their office, and to kind of piggyback on what Matthew said with COVID, it became real apparent that that was a need. So being able to move someone to VoIP, being able to have a reliable internet connection, kind of going on your how can we fix problems. Connectivity is a really valuable point to being able to have a company communicate, whether it be voice or data. So hopefully I nailed that one out for you. So being able to work anywhere at any point in time with a vast majority of vendors, communication, texting is very valuable.
Blair, do you
Shelby,
have
one thing I was going to say to dovetail on that, we have 74 suppliers in our line card on the UCaaS front. So when you think of unified communications as a service, don't forget about contact center as a service. So, there's UCaaS, CCaaS, and in our environment, we're seeing all the different suppliers, shift and do different things. You saw recently Zoom acquired Five9 for around almost $15 billion. It's exciting news for the industry, right? There's still so much left to take on as far as the UCaaS goes as customers continue to migrate. COVID was great for UCaaS, right? You can see and follow, the Ring Centrals, the Nextivas, the 8x8s, the Zooms of the world, right? As they get more subscription growth, right? But, not only that, but, with PCA and the relationship with Intelisys, we have an entire team of UCaaS engineers that are there to help guide and find the right fit and need for each customer. So we're there to help you guys educate and as a customer base on what products and services to buy that actually fit the mold for each individual opportunity. So that's basically
Yeah, and I guess just more to that, Blair, what is like the most common, or I guess the biggest challenge that you see come across your desk for the small to medium-sized business when it comes to data communications?
So I would say UCaaS. I mean, right? They want to know how to deploy it, right? What's the best way to deploy it, right? And there's different facets for each opportunity, right? Because each supplier, whether they're offering free phones or they didn't realize what the features were, or it's getting rid of that plain old telephone line, right? Because as POTS are going away, or your traditional phone systems, your traditional PBXs, you're paying all the different maintenance fees on. You can actually pay out a UCaaS offering really fast just off of with actual return on investment because of productivity, right? You can now see when your actual employees are in idle or not or being productive or not being productive, right? Just off of their idle side on with a UCaaS platform, right? So there's that. And then also just the features and functionality. I mean, right? I think Tony said it best, with texting and, there's all kinds of different things that's find me, follow me as a business owner. You may not want to give your actual cell phone out, but if you have it where it's find me, follow, they're actually following you as you're in the field, or if you're on vacation, you're actually able to look at that and see, as calls come in or send out calls, where it still doesn't broadcast your cell phone number, but it gives the look and feel that you're sitting right there in the office, right? Even when it comes down to maybe even it's a WAV file that's an email voicemail, right? You're actually able to view that voicemail, forward it off to someone else, and have those different communications. Because I think as things evolve and as they continue to evolve, it's going to be the new forefront, right? I mean, that's going where everybody goes to as a UCaaS platform, right?
Yeah, and I guess Matthew, you're going to have a little bit of a different answer with to your point. So what's the biggest challenge that you guys are seeing for that small to medium sized business?
For a lot of customers, it's a sense of losing control. So if I go to the cloud or I go to some type of managed service, what control do I lose? Can I get my data back and that sort of thing? So we talk to clients about that quite routinely. And one of our advantages to clients over going to Azure or AWS, as an example, is you know where your data lives. You can go drive to the Little Rock data center, see the cloud pod sitting there. You can see that it's a secure facility. You can tour it and that sort of thing. So our approach has always been a high touch approach to how we handle your data, the control that you have, visibility. So we have an enterprise class portal where you can see the uptime of your environment, and you can log in and make changes to your virtual environment and that sort of thing. Or again, if you just want a secured climate controlled place to keep your data, to keep your servers housed, we have a great ticketing system, a 24/7 enterprise operations center to help you with that white glove approach to technology to make sure that your environment stays up and running. So, we have those conversations a lot about, there's these stigmas around cloud and, can I get my data back out and that sort of thing. And with to your point, in our approach, you absolutely can.
Yeah. So Tony, would you want to speak on that? I mean, that you are doing more of I guess like a big look of everything that is data communications, and having things that work together cohesively is a big thing that I know that I've heard you speak about. But what would you pinpoint as the biggest pain point or concern that you see with small businesses?
Well, a lot of small businesses, if you walk in, if something's working, they currently think that there's no problems with it. But as we all know, tomorrow may show a different story. So it's always good to be able to review your technology needs and what you're currently using as your solutions. See if there's downtime on it, see if there's ways to improve it. Let's look at the bill, let's see how much you're paying, and let's see if there's ways that we can, get you better technology and you not have to pay any more. So really, I look at all the different avenues from voice over IP, UCaaS, co-locations, data center, all of our different vendors. And every company is going to be different. Small to medium sized business is going to be different to what your needs are, your trials and tribulations on the technology that you need. So that's kind of where I look at kind of the bigger picture for everyone.
Thank you for that. And so if someone were to want to, have that discussion about getting data communication solutions, and they, this is the first place that they're starting, what would a good first question be for that business owner or office manager to ask when they first go into a meeting with you guys?
Would you like for me to start on that?
Go ahead.
Awesome. Well, the first thing that they're going to need to ask is, hey, will you help me? As long as you ask me to help you, then I'm going to go through, I don't throw 1,000 questions at you, but I do have 1,000 questions that I can ask. So what I try to do is get some information based on what your company needs are, like we were saying earlier, trials, tribulations. So the first question is, can you help me? And the answer is going to be yes.
Blair, do you have anything that you see what's that good first question?
What are you currently doing with your what is your current cloud practice, and what does it look like? I mean, that usually gets their eyes opened up, right? Well, we're not doing anything cloud today. or it opens up the door as far as, the conversation. It starts the conversation, right? You can go in the front door with network and go in the side door with security, or you go in the side door with UCaaS, right? Because there's different things that you can talk about. Is there an array of different things that, will get the customer, in their interest.
Yeah, and Matthew, so if someone wanted to talk to you guys, and they think that they need that data center provider, what's the first thing for them to ask for you guys?
Yeah, I agree with Tony and Blair. I think, making sure that there's a good fit there is an important part of the process. But, what we always try to uncover is what are the business challenges you're trying to face, right? Your technology strategy should match those challenges. So, are you looking to shift the way that you spend your money from, CapEx to OpEx? Are you looking to have better care and feeding of your environment? In other words, are you looking for more managed solutions? Are you trying to prepare for growth? And maybe you can't handle the type of growth you have in your past with, your IT team keeping up pace with that. So using a managed service provider, can help with that as well.
Shelby, one thing to dovetail on too is, one question your customers may ask is my data safe? Well, absolutely, your data is safe, but they're not wanting to give that control and that span of control up, or they're afraid of losing control of their data because it's not on their equipment and it's not in their data center. But the reality is further from the truth, because the data centers and the level of security and the environments will surpass the capabilities of any small IT department. Not to mention the benefits of redundant power, internet, redundant servers, etc.
Thank you for that. And that is such a great point, because I think that, business owners, especially in this day and time, a big issue is just in general security. There's just a lot of unknown, and that security risk isn't going anywhere. So I know that's just something that people have to be worried about, and rightfully so. But now it's our jobs to make sure that they know that their stuff is secure and they are going to be okay. And so let's start with you, Matthew. So after somebody decides that they need a data center provider, they have that initial touch point with you guys. Just kind of walk through the process of what does it look like to just get that set up.
Yeah, great question. So, it starts first and foremost with a whiteboarding session, whether that's in person or these days more and more virtually, just getting to know you, getting to understand, again, those business challenges, those technology challenges. What are your, top 5 IT initiatives over the next 12 months? And, we like to understand where our clients are today, where they're going this year, and where they plan to be in the next several years. Because we find customers that are in all different phases of IT transformation, and we feel that we can help customers in many different ways. Some customers may not know what they want the end game to be, and that's where our professional services team can help. So we can come in and after an initial whiteboarding session, we can do a professional services assessment to look at the current state of the IT environment. And then, that might lead to simply what we call a lift and shift of moving your environment into one of our secured facilities, or it may be more of a virtual move. So we have our professional services team that can project manage, including the engineering resources required, the software, all in one to get them into our secure multi-tenant cloud or private cloud. A lot of that too includes a financial modeling. So that would lead to a design and a price for that. And then we have with SharePoint, each customer during implementation gets a dedicated project manager. So we have a kickoff process that we go through, and the account team remains a part of that process. We hand over documentation and have a series of calls. We project manage everything. If it's, again, a physical move or a virtual move, we have that dedicated team with a dedicated forms process. So the end result is, again, adopting some type of um, strategy to hosting your infrastructure in a tier point facility, or maybe it's just backing it up and replicating it offsite. And in the case of everything that TierPoint provides, we also have a testing phase. So as an example, if you're a disaster recovery as a service client, now you've checked that box that you have a DR strategy, but have you tested it? And that's one of the big challenges we've seen with customers in the past when we talk to them. Maybe they're on previous solutions that they've never really tested. And our process includes an actual spin up in a bubble environment and doing a test. And for customers that move production into our environment, we can do tests of that as well to make sure if there was a component failure in the system that everything can stay up and running. So we make sure that, for lack of a better term, we're there to hold hands all the way through the process until they've made that move into that environment.
I love that. And I love too that your focus just seems to be related to business outcomes for your client. It's what they need. And I mean, ultimately, if you're a business owner, your main concern is truly those business outcomes. I mean, we're all here to make money at the end of the day. And I love that TierPoint, is using that as a guider to make sure that their customers are taken care of. Tony, so what about you? So someone contacts us, they know they need that data communications piece that they're missing. Can you share a little bit about that process of what you do, just going in and with that initial consultation until product delivery? What's that look like?
Absolutely. Thanks, Shelby. That's a good question. Basically, hopefully everybody that's on this call knows where we're at, how to contact us. Been in the background of IT and working with internet providers and working with voice over IP and UCaaS solutions, contact centers as a solution, and working with a Telesys and knowing TierPoint, everything that they do. They have a wide variety of different types of solutions. Main thing that I want to do is just come in and shake your hand if I can, COVID related, but the main thing I want to do is find out your struggles, find out what your current technology uses are, where you want to be. And I like to take a lot of pictures of your current technology and draw up ideas and find out what kind of technology needs you need to be moving towards. The neat thing about voice, UCaaS, and contact center is voice and data go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. So while you can have that easy salesperson that can come up and knock on your door and say, hey, I do voice over IP telephone systems, they might not have an IT background. They're there to sell you a phone system. They are not going to look at your full needs for data and phone systems, and also security, and also managed services. So there's a lot of different pieces to the pie, and I know what that whole pie looks like. So, they may promise you to save you money. They may promise you, oh, let me sign you up on a new contract for internet services, and I'll save you this amount of money. But the bigger picture is what if they need faster internet? Who's going to look at that and decide that they need faster internet? Because once you sign some of these contracts, you're in for 2 or 3 years, and you've signed this contract, and all of a sudden you need a faster speed. And a lot of the different, communication providers out there, we deal with all those through Intelisys. So, some of the big name ones, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, all the different cable carriers as well. We're able to get pricing on them, find out if the technology is worth it, be able to talk to you about that technology and saying, okay, reliability, if you go with this vendor, this is what your outcomes are going to be. But also SD-WAN, which is software-defined wide area network. I usually tell people that's just having 2 internet connections. And then we can, by having 2 internet connections, even to your data centers, is a very valuable piece of equipment, because if your internet's down at your main location, or where you're doing most of your work, even at your house, you need to have that thought process to make sure you're able to communicate. Even if it is just that backup cell phone with a hotspot, as long as you're able to conduct business, that's what I want to make sure of, is the bigger picture of making sure that you're not looking at one piece of the pie, but yet the whole pie itself.
And Blair, I'm going to assume that you probably have a similar answer to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in concert to that is basically this. I mean, we take the consultative approach with you guys. So, we will get with you on the phone with your customers to vet the opportunity, to find the problem, the cause, the solution, and then the benefit, right? So, once we do that, we actually are then able to insert the appropriate supplier that fits the customer's need, right? Because we're not just throwing stuff out there and saying, hey, let's go Zoom, or let's go Ring Central, or let's go this. Each individual supplier, they may all have UCaaS, right? But not all of them are the same, right? So, each one fits the mold for each individual customer or vertical that you're even in as well. So think about verticals. Verticals play a big role in the fold with each individual opportunity, right? So if you're dealing with a state and local government account, we're going to find the right fit for that state and local government account, because there may be different compliances that they need as well. So we will vet those compliances with you and figure out where the fit is for each one of those opportunities. Because, nowadays people think, hey, VoIP, what is VoIP, right? That is UCaaS. No, I mean, VoIP is different than UCaaS, right, Tony? I mean, do you not agree with that statement, right? I mean, VoIP nowadays is offered, is often, thought of as it's an on-premise solution sending traffic over an IP, right? Whereas UCaaS is totally opposite, right? So, I mean, there's different things, as far as what you look at. So we walk through each and every opportunity with our team, with our solutions engineers, and for each, technology, right? Through each technology pillar.
Well, you lead us right into the next question. So it's going right back to you, Blair. Is it not one size fits all?
No. Like I said, I mean, VoIP is, over an IP, right? So UCaaS takes the concept a step further by incorporating, faxing, texting, voicemail, soft phones, chat, etc., all while moving infrastructure into the cloud, right? So that's the biggest thing, because when if you have someone that's at home sick, right? Well, they have a laptop in most cases. We don't go to the old PC, right, anymore. You're able to take that laptop, deploy a soft client at no cost, and have that employee work remotely. That's what was the biggest thing with COVID, when all these individuals moved off their, overnight, really, right? We're locking the country down. Well, business doesn't stop, right? So how did they do that? That's why UCaaS, Zoom, Ring Central, and I'm just naming some of the big names, right, that everybody knows, but there's Fusion, there's LogMeIn. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And, there's aggregators as well that do it. As Tony was saying with network, we also have a broad reach with our aggregators that can help with each opportunity when it comes down to VoIP, when it comes down to network, when it comes down to SD-WAN. I mean, we work closely with TierPoint. Matthew knows us well, right? So, I mean, our engineers know TierPoint well on top of that. So.
And so, Matthew, do you want to speak to that just a little bit from TierPoint's point of view? Is it one size fits all, or are there things that are considered to make those more customized plans when it comes to, storing your data, or anything that you guys do provide? Is it all the same for everyone, or is it a custom? It's to your needs.
Yeah, great question. And yeah, I think I'm going to answer that by telling a story. So one of my very first clients, when I started here, they had pretty much given up on data center providers. They'd talked to a couple, and it just wasn't working out, because they had a fairly complex setup. And specifically, this particular client had a location here in Nashville and then one in Virginia Beach, and they got some pretty short notice that their building was going to get sold, and one of their data centers was in that building. So they wanted to move to the cloud, but they had a lot of legacy applications, even some legacy phone dialers that worked. They had a call center that they were running, and they needed to figure out what to do with this equipment in a pretty short period of time. while also migrating to the cloud. So we designed what we call a hybrid cloud solution for them. So which they still use today. They've continued to move much of it to the cloud, but some of it is still physical assets. So they have a couple of cabinets of co-location with us in our data center, and that's cross-connected into our multi-tenant cloud, which they use for both production and disaster recovery. And then they also just needed some servers from us, some VMware ESXi hosts to be able to use for VDI purposes. They had the people to manage the VDI layer, but they wanted us to manage the hardware for them. So we provided that for them. And that was a couple phases over the course of about 6 months. And we met their timeline to get installed and ready before they lost access to be able to get everything out of their building. And actually now, almost 7 years later, they're still a client. So still a client at your points. So not all customers go straight to the cloud. In fact, a lot of customers go to Azure and AWS as an example and end up coming back. Not all customers can go straight and just use Microsoft 365 for everything. Customers need a custom tailored approach to the way that they consume IT. And again, it all goes back to the business challenges and how their technology needs to address those. And that's why we feel that we're uniquely positioned to help our clients, is because we can pick lots of different tools from the toolbox and put together a custom tailored approach.
Absolutely. And Tony, I guess I'm going to have you speak just a little bit. I mean, we obviously know it's not one size fits all when it comes to data communications. So do you want to just hit on, a couple of those considerations that, are needed? What are the questions that you ask? What's the information that you need to know to get somebody that, custom plan for their data communication?
Thanks, Shelby. No, there's not one size that fits all. But the main thing that I look at is to what I fit you in today, will you outgrow it tomorrow? Companies are downsizing, companies are upsizing, and usually that's one of the main things that I want to find out from a company is what are they projected to do? Not necessarily money wise, but employees. Are they expanding? What's the past look like? What does the future look like? And that's kind of a 3-year plan that I try to look at least, because obviously internet connectivity, while everything's getting faster, there's still that price point that you want to hit. So sometimes I try to hit that price point to give them the best bang for their buck. But then sometimes I'm having to work with them to make sure and plan for the future. The neat thing about UCaaS solutions and phone systems, unlike your traditional, on-premise phone systems, is they were built for a certain amount of users. Yes, nowadays, you just keep adding on to it, 1 user, 2 user, 3 users, and it keeps growing. So it's expandable with the company. So again, kind of going back to that one size fits all, it's a tailored size today. But we also want to make sure that we can grow it or decrease it as the business changes.
Well, that leads me into this next segue. And then this is really, what I think a lot of your business owners and operators are wanting to know. And it's a real simple question, guys. How can you save me some money? So, Tony, I'm going to let you go ahead and start in on that. And then I want to hear what the other guys have to say too, because we know that money talks, and how can you save it for us?
Well, there's that. I like that. That's pretty good. It makes me want to do this. Money does talk, and saving money is obviously what we all want to do. We all have expenses and bills to pay at our house. Same thing within a business. The main thing that I look at is to save money on is let's see what services you currently have and what you're paying for. If it's money that you're concerned about, maybe we change technologies. Maybe that second internet connection doesn't need to be a dedicated connection. Maybe it can just be best effort connection and save you, 1/4 or even half or 3/4 of what you were originally paying. So yes, it takes putting the eyes on the technology and making sure that that solution that you have is good. But a lot of times, and I think Blair nailed on this earlier, in our field, there's still faxing and POTS lines, which is plain old telephone lines that these vendors are trying to get rid of. Blair, coming from an AT&T background, they are doubling up on your pricing, tripling your pricing. And a lot of times, if your accountants are just paying the bills, they don't know that you could be saving money and you could be, cutting off those phone numbers that you're not even using anymore. And that's what I'd try to do, or I do. I get those bills and I understand them. And so I'm able to find out where we can eliminate older technology or move you over to newer technology that is, has quite a bit of savings behind it. So yes, I can save you money. It does take looking at your technology and working with you and finding out where we can make that happen.
Yeah, Matthew, do you want to speak a little bit about how a data center provider can save a business some money?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times it's about gaining efficiencies while saving money at the same time, and a lot of that is, you get a cabinet for a few $100s a month in one of our data centers as opposed to trying to build your own data closet out, having a dedicated generator, having somebody to maintain that generator, your APC, your UPS battery systems from Schneider or APC, whatever it may be, and then your hardware costs for for the underlying server infrastructure, then 3 or 4 or 5 different maintenance agreements for software. So we can take kind of all those different contracts and put them into one managed service from TierPoint, or one co-location bill at TierPoint to get everything under one umbrella. And again, go to that one back to pat, one throat to choke approach to IT. We also can help have more CFOs oftentimes love us because they're getting a predictable bill each month, as opposed to having to buy a lot of capital outlay every 3 to 5 years. So looking at the total cost of ownership and having a predictable monthly bill are all ways that we can help with budgeting for our clients.
And so, what it seems like all of you are saying is, first off, just make sure the things that you are paying for are the right things for your business. Then it's, is it the most effective solution? Is there something better out there that is possibly less? But I think that it does start with, what are you using right now? And is it working in the most efficient way possible? Um, so, Tony, I'm going to let you, did you have something you wanted to chime in for?
Yeah, I was going to say one of the other key factors is I like what you asked, can you save me money? But sometimes we have to look even further than what we're spending today, because sometimes you do have to invest in your technology or looking at to be able to make money on the back end. And it's being able to see that money come in on the back end, whether it be through, even if you have to lease or there you might be the busiest peak point of your production or whatever you're doing. It's always good to look further ahead. So the money you might have to spend money today to save money on the back end, but at least you're not spending it today and you'll never ever see anything come of it down the road. So I wanted to kind of put that out there, that sometimes investing in your technology, kind of like moving to a data center, it may be expensive a little bit on the front end, but knowing that it's not going to get more than that, being able to have a predictable bill is good to have.
Yeah, and to that, I know that, Blair, you get excited about what's coming down the pipeline, the future of technology, where things are trending, where things are going. And I think part of the piece is, obviously, we want to make sure that whatever you have put in place is effective, it's affordable, although sometimes it just costs money. So I guess what I'd like you to kind of speak on a bit is where should clients, as of right now, invest money? So, say they come, they talk with Tony, and they have got some savings ahead. They've been spending twice as much on data communications as they are now, thanks to great guys in the industry like you. Um, well, now we're saving money. What do we do with that extra money instead of just saving it, pouring it back into our own technology, making better business outcomes because of that? Right now, where would you say this is where to place money? Or, yeah, this is where to place money.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, and it dovetails onto like what Tony was saying, it may cost money to save money, right? As far as, if you've got savings, again, looking at that 5-year plan, what are projects that keep you up at night? And I think the biggest thing that keeps business owners up at night is security. It's that hacking, it's the ethical hacking, the social engineering. There's all these different things that are being thrown at businesses right now with the recent hacks that have happened from, Russia, Asia, different verticals are being, hacked that you didn't think were being hacked. They used to just go after, the K through 12, right? Because they had older technology and it was an easier hack. Well, in all honesty, it's if you're open, you're using the internet, and your employees are out surfing the internet, you're susceptible to a hack as well, right? And I don't know, I can't remember the exact statistic on it, but once, like, what is it, like, I can't remember what it was, like 80% of every business that's been hacked, goes out of business within so many years because of the expense that they spent on, when it could have been something they could have mitigated and done different things to help, cut any kind of, risk, on a hack that does potentially happen. So I think that would be the biggest thing is where do you take those savings and those capital dollars as you put them in to, protecting your bottom line from security, network security.
And while I've got you, Blair, do you want to share your favorite success story? Maybe somebody that you started a relationship with them and they didn't have a lot of data communications just foundationally, and you came in and you fixed it. Do you have any stories like that, or just any relative to something that's new and coming and somebody hopefully made the right decision at the right time?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stories out there, right? There's so many different things. When we have conversations with our partners, with our customers, that's where our engineers do a great job of finding additional opportunity inside the opportunity, right? Because they're uncovering different things or making the customer aware of something they weren't aware of, or something that they thought they couldn't afford that now they can afford. I mean, we even offer cybersecurity insurance in our portfolio, right? So that's something that a lot of customers don't realize you can actually go out and procure because it's an expensive, you know, service to have, but it is also become more affordable, right? Because there's different vendors out there offering that. But as far as an actual favorite story, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of stories out there around COVID and remote work activity, like using UCAS or meeting tools. So I'll use, you know, this time around cybersecurity, maybe, right? So conversation started around ransomware protection, but after a lengthy discussion and pushback from various technical staff, the customer said, minimum effort needed, right? So they ended up, doing a DRAS solution, disaster recovery, right? Sure enough, they got hit by a ransomware a few months out. All their servers were encrypted and under ransom. They reached out to the DRAS provider and they pointed their users to a DR environment where identical servers were spun up, so the company was able to keep working, and then they were able to keep going through their business, right? That's the biggest thing. So,
and that is the ultimate win. The ultimate win is worst case scenario happen and business keeps going. So, Tony, do you have any favorite stories? I know you've been in the industry for years, but narrow it down to just data communications or VoIP, and your favorite story of getting a client the solutions that they need in place.
Well, I'm always going to probably tell you the first thing that's on my mind, and it's probably not going to be a story from 10 or 15 years ago, but kind of like what Blair said, COVID's changed a lot. I won't talk about that one, but being able to look at the savings and the technology, I'll probably hit on those two things. Going into a brand new client of ours, the the first thing I'm going to ask is, well, what kind of internet connection do you have? What kind of phone system do you have? Give me all your bills. And being a trusted advisor in the industry for data and communications, people are happy to hand me their bills. I will go through their bills. And so a success story of mine was to find that a company was paying for 2 internet services for over 4 years, and was able to not only find that, get them a faster connection for what they were paying for. Literally, I mean, they were paying for 2 circuits, a faster connection, and also was able to work with a vendor to get reimbursement. So, and on top of that, they put in a new phone system. So there was just so many different ways by just putting my hands and eyes on it and looking at the industry and the technology that they were using, and put them in a better position for redundancy, and be able to make that comment of, okay, well, what happens if your power goes out? Having all that knowledge is definitely powerful. So they're not waking up on a, just like a backup solution, the DRAS stuff, disaster recovery as a service, being able to wake up, and if, a hurricane has hit, you have a backup solution.
Well, Matthew, you shared earlier that you were currently getting a little hit from a hurricane. So I'll hand it over to you. You'd already shared a story earlier, but do you have any other stories that you just comes to mind to share of just an ultimate success story with a client?
Yeah, so we've had several around disaster recovery as a service, around ransomware as well, where folks have failed over into our cloud. But one story I'll mention recently, to your point, also has a help desk service offering. So we have a client in the trucking industry, and as so many small and medium-sized companies, they basically have one IT person, and that one IT person was responsible for keeping their trucking software online, keeping their servers up and running, and then also taking help desk calls. So anything as simple as a password reset. So we did a scoping exercise with them over the course of about 2 weeks, determined how many tickets he was handling a month, and it was like 300 tickets a month, which is pretty substantial for one person. Talk about inability to go on vacation, right? So we offered our help desk service. We charge a flat per ticket rate up to a certain number of tickets, and we can help with over 100 off-the-shelf applications, including Microsoft 365. So this enabled him to focus more on his line of business applications and less on supporting those end users with a 24/7 call center with lots of people that could help his end users, as opposed to just helping one user. So that was a big win for us and for them. It's become a great partnership, so that they can focus on what they do, which is trucking, not answering end user help desk requests for help me reset my my Outlook password.
That's great. And I think that just kind of does go to show too that it's not always it's not the cheapest, and it's currently definitely not the most efficient to DIY when it comes to technology. Let the experts do what they know how to do. And ultimately that's gonna save you money in the end. So I loved that. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. If there's any questions or comments, the chat is open. So if you have any questions for these guys, go ahead and we'll take just a few seconds and let anybody that wants to chime in. And if there is nothing, then we can call it a day. And I just want to thank you guys again, Tony, Matthew, Blair. Thanks so much for being on this today. You guys are so brilliant. And I just know that this was really great value for everybody listening. And we don't have any in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And thank you all. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, Shelby.
Have a great day, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Blair.
Shelby.
Bye, Matthew. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, Tony. Bye, Blair. Thanks, everyone.